Amen. Well, God bless you. Have a seat if you would. Thank you, graduates. Zach and Max, if you think it's hard where you're sitting and standing from, just think of us parents. But you know, I'm reassured by the fact that arrows, it says, arrows in the quiver of something about a mighty warrior. The more arrows you have, it's awesome. But arrows are designed for flight, not to stay in the quiver. And our job as parents is to, as iron sharpens iron, hone the point and make sure that everything is right so that arrow can be launched. I don't want my kids staying in the quiver. They'd be limited by my desires and my purposes. God's got a plan that was created even when they were in their mother's womb. And so they're designed for flight. Let's launch them. Amen? They're going to still need some guidance. They might come back for a little trip around the quiver again for a few seasons. I don't know. But let's launch them. Amen? I want to share a few minutes, and I don't have a lot of time this morning, but I think I want to direct some thoughts to our students, graduates, but really it applies to all of us today, regardless of where you're at in life, how old you are, how young you are. But, you know, whatever we put our attention towards, whatever grabs our attention, whatever captures our attention, that has the potential to direct our lives. It will influence the direction of our lives. The people, the things, the events that that capture our attention, that we give attention to, that influences the very direction of our life, which ultimately influences the destination of our lives. Now, sitting there, you know that's true. You can look back at your life and you can say, yeah, there was someone in my life or something happened in my life that captured my attention. It grabbed my attention and it influenced the rest of my life, the direction of my life. It was 1988 where that happened to me. I was on the campus of North Central Bible College. Now it's North Central University. I was a student there studying to go in the ministry. And 3 young ladies approached a couple of us guys on campus and asked us if we would take a year of our lives and actually join their singing group and travel around the world to some of the major cities of the world and sing and preach the gospel. Well, I had already had so many years of school, and I was actually headed to graduate school because I wanted to be a military chaplain, and you needed to have a master's of divinity to be a chaplain. So I was really, quite frankly, not that interested at first. I was ready to go to graduate school to kind of keep on going. But something grabbed my attention because I thought it would be nice to take a year off of school and travel the world and see the world and get some preaching experience and carry those girls' luggage. That's probably why they really wanted us guys. But something grabbed my attention, and so I said, yes! And I literally traveled around the world with these ladies and this singing group preaching the gospel. It captured my attention. It changed the direction of my life, and something else grabbed my attention too. Someone else grabbed my attention on that trip. A young lady by the name Miss Connie Colonen. Not only was I captivated by your beauty, honey, but it was your heart. There's so many things I still love about you, but I remember those years of being in college and, just the compassion that she had for people. Her heart was so soft towards people. She was one of those young ladies who could sit and during commercials, she'd cry at the commercials. I love that. Not only did she have compassion, but she had a passion for whatever she put her heart and mind to. There was just a passion there. She knew where she stood, and she was passionate about it. I love that. I love the fact that she was attuned to everything. I kind of sometimes live my life in a fog, ambivalent. She knew, and she had an ability to be focused. Yet, in the same sense, you had an ability, even though you could be intense and serious, you had such a silliness and an ability to have fun that it just drew me right in, because sometimes I lived my life too serious. And she just brought that fun, that silliness to my life. You were so committed to the cause of Christ that it just inspired me. Now, you're a lot more girly girl now than you were then. Because I witnessed Connie eat fish heads over rice in the Philippines. Yeah. Takes a courageous person to do that. And not only that, but also I watched her eat it's called balut in the Philippines, and it's an egg, a duckling egg with the duckling embryo half formed. And she ate that. Yeah. But she drew the line of eating dog in Thailand. But you were willing to sleep on bamboo beds. There was just something that you captured my attention. I was captivated you, and because of that, it changed the entire direction of my life. And it's true. And she came with the package. I could really say something right now, but No, turn the page. Oh, I want to. No, I won't. Thanks a lot. I was captivated by Connie. And it changed the direction of my life. And now, there's 3 more people in the world that wouldn't have been in the world had she not captured my attention. Right over here. And that's kind of how life is. We're going in a certain direction and go over there. Something captures your attention. And so she captured my attention. Then 10 years later, we'd already been married for 8 years. Connie and I attended a weekend, a self-discovery kind of weekend that captured our attention. We had gone to this seminar thinking, well, we do workshops. This couple does workshops. Maybe we can learn a few lessons, some tricks of the trade. We'll just kind of go into observation mode and try to better our skills. But wow, did we run into ourselves and stop hiding as we took the mirror and looked at ourselves. And that at that moment, I came out of that weekend a different man, a different husband, a different father, a different minister, because something grabbed my attention and it changed the direction of our life. We came out of that seminar saying, we have got to do those seminars because it was so powerful. So a few years later, we launched what we called Bridges Seminar. Now we call it Self-Discovery Weekend. And now hundreds of people's lives have been changed. They've experienced the freedom that there is in Christ, all because something captured our attention. Now, like you can think of things in your life that grabbed your attention, that captured your attention, that changed the very direction of your life. Now, those were pretty good examples, but for some of you, you're thinking, man, I wish back then I would have just kept on going. I wish I wouldn't have looked left or right. I wish I never would have returned that phone call. I wish I never would have met that person. I wish I never would have went to that office party or that high school party. I just wish I never would have clicked on that website. And so things that come along that capture our attention, they grab our attention, generally those things can lead us into disaster and some difficult things and difficult times, because it's a powerful emotion that engages us along the way that just kind of grabs our attention. But there's another side of this too, because I remember when my mom told me an event that happened in our family. I was the first one saved in our home. My mom was the second, and then my oldest sister was the next one saved in our family. And boy, she got on fire for God right away. She got involved in the youth group and just was going great guns for God. She, received the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Things were just going so great. But she graduated from high school. She went away to the university. And in her first semester, she took a philosophy class. And something that the professor said in that class grabbed her attention, captured her attention. She came back one weekend with a box. And inside that box was anything that had God written on it. Her Bible, couple albums, Andre Crouch, Keith Green. She stood in front of our mother, and she said, "I don't want to have anything to do with your God anymore." And she threw the box down at her feet. There are things that will capture your attention. And that's why I want to preach this word this morning for just a few more moments about the importance of looking straight ahead, not to the left, not to the right. Because, that's what, the world has found. Marketing is about grabbing your attention. It's about seeing the infomercial and grabbing the phone and buying ShamWow. Sham Whoopee is what it ended up being. Remember ShamWow? Now the latest thing is those collapsible hoses. Now those are good. We bought those. They work. It's awesome. There are things, that's what marketing is. They 15 to 20 seconds, they want to grab your attention, and they know if they can get you early, they got you for the rest of your life. And so students, our culture, society, all these things, there's things that will grab your attention, that will try to lead you off of the path maybe that God has for you, maybe the path that your parents have tried to guide you on. But there's something else that's very important. Another powerful influence in your life is the things that you decide to pay attention to. Yes, there will be things that will grab your attention, but there are things that you need to consciously pay attention to. And generally, the things that grab your attention are going to lead to some of your biggest regrets. But the things that you intentionally pay attention to will set you up for success in life. Now, let me ask you this. As you sit here and you listen to this message this morning, are there some things that you look back on that you wish you had paid more attention to? How about some of us adults, been down the road a little ways? You look back, things that you wish you had given more attention to? Now you wish you had paid a little more attention to your health. Now you wish you had paid a little more attention to how you've handled money. Just got a little extended. More debt than income and no margin and all the stress that came with it. Now you wish you would have paid a little more attention to your marriage. Now you wish you would have paid a little more attention to, raising your children and just the different things that we experience. Maybe now you wish you had paid more attention to your own spiritual life or faith. That's a story I hear over and over and over. People who, spent seasons of their life giving no attention to the spiritual side of life. And as a result, they're living with consequences now because they made decisions out from the umbrella of God's principles. And now they're living with the consequences of that. What happened? Something else grabbed their attention so that they didn't give attention to what they should have. Think about how your life would be different if you had paid attention to some of the things that now are so important. Imagine how different your life would be if your father had paid more attention to you. Imagine how different your life would be if your parents had paid more attention to their marriage or paid more attention to you as you went through those tough adolescent years. Imagine how different your life would be if your parents or even you had paid more attention to your own spiritual life. The direction of your life, the destination, where you are now, would have changed dramatically. Why? Because the things that we pay attention to influence the direction of our life. It's a principle that we even see in Scripture. Now, we can see this looking back, and I don't want us to live in the land of regret today. But here's why this is important today and going forward, because you and I still choose what we give our attention to. We still make conscious decision who gets our time, what we pay attention to. Some things have captured your attention. Maybe some things are beginning to capture your attention. And maybe there's people around you saying, I don't know, maybe you should think about this a little bit more. Well, you're spending a lot of time on the internet. You're spending a lot of time with so-and-so, but slowly they're beginning to capture your attention. Maybe it's the woman in the next cube. Maybe it's the guy who's been giving you a lot of attention when your husband isn't. And something slowly is beginning to capture your attention. On the other hand, some of you've been doing better than you've ever done because you're beginning to pay attention to some of the good things, the right things. You've been consistent in your spiritual growth and your devotional life and attending church and being involved and surrounding yourself with people that are going to influence you in a healthy way. So life has been good, and the principle applies. Whatever you direct your attention to, it's going to influence the direction of your life. Now, God shows us repeatedly through Scriptures about this principle. And let me just mention a couple of them. Deuteronomy 7. I don't know if we have time I'm not going to take time for you to find it. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Deuteronomy 7, verse 12. Here the children of Israel are about ready to get in the promised land. I mean, they are salivating about the milk and honey that is just waiting for them. God promised it to them. They're on the precipice of the promised land. They're ready to go. And so God says to Moses, I want you to be careful because you are going to get distracted by the surrounding nations. You're going to look and say, well, maybe we should do government the way they do. Maybe we should do relationships the way, maybe we should do sensuality the way they do it. Maybe we should do our military the way they do it. You're going to get distracted. So what does he say in verse 12 of chapter 7? He says, if you pay attention, there it is, if you pay attention to these laws and are careful to follow them, then the Lord God will keep His covenant of love with you. He will love you and bless you and increase you. And it goes on to list so many blessings. But he also says, if you don't, if you get distracted from the ways that I have talked to you and told you about, then I want to help you. But if you get distracted, I'm going to allow nations to invade you, take you into captivity until you wake up and realize that you were wrong. See, the nation of Israel acted just like we act today. We have some great spiritual moments. Maybe we go through revival. It's great. And so we're going to church. We're reading our Bible. But then what happens? We get distracted. We kind of turn our attention away from what we should. And we get distracted. And God allows us to go through things that will get our attention. In fact, even in the Bible, He allowed them to go into... He kicked them out of the country for 70 years, allowed them to be taken captive until they woke up. In fact, He let a whole generation of people die so that the next generation would come up and say, what in the world were our fathers thinking about? What were we thinking about? Until they focused on the right thing again, and then He'd allow them back into His promises and into His blessings. Why? Because the things you pay attention to will influence the direction of your life. Where your attention goes, there your life goes. Well, not only that example, but David, the second king of Israel. He comes on the scene and he talks about the same principle of where your attention goes, there the direction of your life will go. In Psalm 119, look what he says in verse 35. He says this, direct me in the paths of your commands, for there I find delight. Turn my heart toward your statutes, and not toward selfish gain. Turn my eyes away from worthless things. Think about that, the power of that statement. Turn my eyes away from worthless things. In other words, if I focus on worthless things, it's going to lead me to worthless things. How many of you could talk about opportunities you went full force ahead and you thought it was worth something, it was a get-rich-quick kind of deal, or just, it was a shortcut, an easy way, and in the end you discovered this was really worthless. I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a whole decade of my life, And we get to that point where, we look to worthless things. David is saying, don't focus, don't pay attention to worthless things. He basically is saying, turn your eyes toward me. And see, David had to learn the hard way. David was a mighty warrior on the battlefield, but he had weak eyes. And you know the story of Bathsheba and adultery and then murder, a cover-up. And then from that point on, his life and his family just became a disaster. Because he didn't know how to turn his eyes. But then his son Solomon weighs in on the scene as well. In Proverbs chapter 4, it's a great verse. It's a good one for us to memorize. In fact, it reminds me of a conversation I've had with many men who travel a lot. Men who are in hotels, men who are away from home a lot. You know, they tell me about the struggle it is to keep their eyes going where they need to go. And it's good for all of us. I mean, same kind of thing for women who like to shop, too. This is a good verse to memorize. Because, you know, when you're shopping in a mall, that's what hey, what's over there? I like what's over there and over there. You don't even have to go outside to get in your car to go to the next place. It's all right there. That's how they design malls. And if it's a rainy day, all the better. You can be in one place and you can go to all the different places. See? That's how that works. But look at this verse in Proverbs chapter 4. It's a great verse. It says, verse 25, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Verse 27, do not swerve to the right or left. How many know that things that get you in trouble are not straight ahead? They're to the left. They're to the right. The things that capture your attention, get you off course. So he's saying, fix your eyes. You let your eyes look straight ahead. So look straight ahead. And then hundreds of years later, Jesus shows up on the scene. He says the same principle. Matthew chapter 6, verse 22. Look what he says. He says, the eye is the lamp of the body. We might not understand quite what that means, but in the Bible time, you know, there was no electricity. So if they wanted to go somewhere in the dark at night, they had a lamp, oil lamp, or kind of like a Coleman lantern. And they'd either carry it by hand or they'd put it up on a pole. The higher the better, because then you could see more. But wherever the light went, your body would follow. And so Jesus is saying, wherever your eyes is the lamp, so wherever your eyes go, your body will follow. So you have to be careful because your eyes will lead you. And he says, if your eyes are good, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. In other words, if your eyes are focused on good things, it'll impact you in good ways. But if your eyes are focused on negative things, it's going to impact you negatively. And then lastly this morning, years later, the writer of Hebrews talks about the same principle that where your attention goes, there your life is going to go. That's the direction that you'll be heading. And he says almost the same thing. He's writing to a group of Christians, the Hebrews, and Jesus is long gone now. And the church is, trying to get established. And he sees that this church is getting off on all kinds of different things. They're following false teaching. And so he sends a letter warning them. And look what he says in Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. He says this, we must pay more careful what? Attention. Therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. You see, if you don't make a decision to pay attention to the right thing, you'll eventually get distracted with the wrong thing. And the only way to quit drifting to the wrong thing is to straight ahead. Decide you're not going to drift. That's what you learn at driver's ed. And if you have a new driver in the home, it's really, you can relate to this, because when they're first learning to drive, they're told, don't focus on the oncoming traffic. The individual car coming your way, because if you focus on it, you're going to lean into it. That's what you learn about snow skiing, right? You don't focus on the individual moguls or the individual trees, otherwise you're heading in that direction. And we all have our snow skiing story, don't we? A big crash, big accident, whatever. See, whatever you get fixated on, you're going to tend to go in that direction. Now, here's the tough principle about this morning. See, this principle is so easy to see in someone else. But it's almost impossible to look in the mirror and see it in yourself. That's why you're sitting here saying, oh man, I wish so-and-so was here. They need to hear this message. Oh, I hope they're on live stream. I got to get a copy of this, whatever. It's so easy to see in somebody else. But sometimes we're just so blind to our own selves. We've all seen a friend, we've seen a family member who you're just like, wait, don't go any further, please. I see it so clear. I know you don't see it right now, but just wait. I know you don't see it. And so we want to help them, we want to protect them, but most time people have to learn the hard way. And if you're a parent, you really know how this works, because we're so in tune with who our kids are spending time with, what they're involved in, who they're hanging out with. And, we love Facebook because we can spy on our kids and all those kind of things. And, we see things that they post. And if you're really a good parent and you're not afraid of your teenager, you will have those awkward, tough conversations when you see something or hear something. But a lot of parents these days, they're afraid. They want to be a friend. They're afraid to be a parent and call it on the carpet and say it like it is. That's right. And so... But, that we see it happening. It's so clear to us because we understand that what captures their attention, that's the direction where their life is headed. So 2 questions to wrap up here this morning that I want you to ask yourself. What and who has captured your attention? Think about it. Wake up. Don't think in generalities. Get specific. Who or what has grabbed your attention right now in your life? It could be a hobby. It could be something good. It could be a ministry. It could be a business. It could be sports. It could be, weekends away. We're hitting the summer season. You want a vacation away, but slowly you see your family drifting away. And other priorities now have become more important. It could be something very good, but and friends, listen, you need to know what is capturing your attention right now. What is grabbing your attention? Because it will influence the direction of your life. Second question is this. What and who do you need to begin paying more attention to? What or who do you need to be giving more attention to? Because we decide what and who we give our attention to. So some of you are sitting here today and you know beyond a shadow of doubt that you need to give more attention to your spiritual life. You know it. Some of you are doing that. You've changed your circle of friends. You're hanging around with people that are going to encourage you. You're getting in groups. You're consistent with your attendance. What about your marriage? Is that something today that you need to pay more attention to? For many of us, what we do, we get married, then we put it on autopilot and think our marriage is just going to fly itself because, we got work, we're busy raising the kids, and we got important things to do, and we just think it's going to fly itself. Well, not if you want to have a great marriage. You have to pay attention to it. You have to put some attention into it. Parents here today, do you need to give more attention to the spiritual development of your kids, of your youth? Is that an area you need to pay more? I'm so aware of this because I have conversation all the time with parents who say, my teenager's 13, 14. I think I better get them over to that youth program over at your church. I kind of ignored it for the last decade of my own life, but man, can God do anything with them? And my first thought is, it's great, but if you're waiting until they're 13 and 14, it's going to be an uphill climb. You're already having to put 911 emergency paddles on them and hoping that, God, can you get through? Now it's emotional. Now there's crises. It's grabbed your attention now, but for years you ignored it, you avoided it, you thought so many other things were important, like weekend tournaments and this and that and sports and all those other things were so important, clubs and all these things that just kind of weeded God out and maybe they'll pick it up when they're 21 and, we'll all get to heaven and great, whatever. What happened? You got distracted. Something captured your attention from what was really important. And if you brought your students to youth or children and maybe the first time they're like, I didn't connect. I don't think I want to go back. Well, don't can the whole thing. Help us make those programs better. Get involved to say, we can, I can participate. I can help it. I can help make this better. Don't just chuck the whole thing, because there will come a day. Well, you will wish that you had paid more attention to that. Some of you need to pay more attention to your health. Some of you need to pay more attention to your education, to your finances. to your relationships instead of work. As a pastor, I have never been by somebody's deathbed and I've ever heard these words uttered. You know, I wish I would have spent another hour in the office. I wish I would have spent more time working. What I hear is people scrambling to mend fences, to get right with people, maybe an estranged sister who's now come in for the final moments. But oftentimes they make peace and then that person goes on to eternity. Why wait for that? Don't get distracted. Pay attention to what you know you need to pay attention to. And so my prayer, my heart for every teenager, every college student, every young adult, every single adult, every engaged couple, every married couple, every couple that's been married for decades, come clean. What is it that you are paying attention to? What has captured your attention that you know is not leading you in the right path? And then who in your life do you need to pay more attention to? Life is too short to waste any more years. You know, and the problem with a message like this is, you know, you feel something inside. Yeah, I know I need to. I know I need to. I know I should. But as soon as I pray the prayer, we say amen, you'll walk out and nothing in your world changes. And you will have ignored another time what God has warned us for thousands of years, Old Testament and New Testament. You want Him to send us another book? Thicker than this? Before you come under the principles, under the umbrella of God? Listen, you don't break principles. You break yourselves against principles. God has shown us the way. It's going to take probably for many of us the time in our life where we finally humble ourselves and surrender. Say, God, my way has not worked. I've paid attention to the wrong things. You may have acquired all kinds of money, all kinds of goods. You've provided a good physical living, but the one thing that you've neglected is that a relationship with your student. Same with your students. You can breeze through these years and be so consumed on yourself and forget to at least make some effort with your parents or your siblings. And the things that grab and capture our attention oftentimes lead to some of the greatest regrets. But change that. Change that today. Have that tough conversation this afternoon with your spouse. Come clean and say, honey, you know it's been busy around here. I had a hard time finding the day to even think. But I know some things need to change. I know I need to give our marriage, our relationship more attention. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but God has been speaking to my heart. Some of you, it's about ending some relationships that you know are leading you in a wrong direction. And it's about paying attention to the right things. So I don't know where you're at. This message affects all of us, regardless if you're a student, graduate. But I'm going to ask you a question. I'm not going to have you come forward today. But if you're sitting here this morning and you'd say, Pastor Mike, the Lord has pinpointed something specific. Now, don't think in generalities. Come on. Get real with yourself. Quit faking your way through life. God has pinpointed something in your life that you know you've been paying attention to the wrong thing. You've been neglecting paying attention to the right thing. You know it's something or someone, and you know that you need to change that today. I want you to stand wherever you are. We're just going to have a closing prayer. Just stand wherever you are. If you know God has pinpointed something in your life, just stand wherever you are. Someone in your life needs more attention. You need to divert your attention from something because you know it's influencing the direction of your life. Others, you just keep standing. We're going to pray in just a moment. Others, it takes courage to stand. It takes courage to say, you know what? My life is worth something. I don't want to get sidetracked on the devil's plan. I want to do what he has designed me to be. That's why I was praying a blessing on some of these students. Oh, that they would be so committed to the destiny God has for them. even before, while they're in their mother's womb. Man, that's what I continue. I even as much of a pastor and Christian I am, I still have to keep my eyes looking in the right direction. I'm not free of that as well. So I appreciate you standing. Why don't we all stand now and let's have a word of prayer today. Father, we thank you. Thank you, God, for the honesty in this room, where we are getting real with ourselves and getting real with you and even with each other, Lord. We don't care that somebody saw us stand. But Lord, I pray that we do something with this, that this doesn't go in one ear and out the other, but we will go from this place, and at the appropriate time, we will talk about this with somebody. Or we will get alone and we will just humble ourselves before you, God, so that we don't have to play these games anymore. Lord, you value our life so much, and some of us, we don't really value our life, and we get messed up in things that satisfy us temporarily, and we miss out on just an incredible destiny. Lord, I just thank you for these, Lord, that have reached out to you. Father, reach in their direction. Give them strength. Give them understanding. Fill them with your Holy Spirit today so that, Lord, we can pay attention to the right things. We know that's your word. May there be a hunger and thirst for more of you, for your word. Give that to us now, Lord God. We're thirsty and hungering for you. And we need you, Jesus, like never before. So I pray you bless your church and help us to accomplish all that you have called us to do as we turn our attention towards you. And we thank you for that in the name of Jesus. We're going to sing this song. If you need to go ahead. If you want to hang around a little bit, you're welcome to do that. If you need some prayer, come forward. We'll pray with you. But at this point, God bless you. Have a great week. Amen.
I need you, Jesus, to come to me.